There's the Broken Record podcast. You know that it's like Rick Rubin's podcast where he has interviews all kinds of cool people.
Yeah. He interviewed Andre and Kendrick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have a 4-part Chili Peppers thing. The first one was just he interviewed Frusciante, and then
I heard just a little bit.
Yeah, and then he got Frusciante and Kiedis, and then he got one with like Flea, and then all of them or something like that.
Yeah.
And I listened to the few of those. I haven't heard all of them yet because I'm always so interested in hearing like why he came back. Because I know for a while he was like done with the fame touring part, and he just wanted to do his own thing, and he did. Boy, did he do his own thing. He went off and went in electronic synthland and drum machine.
Didn't he have a say in like or like at least some sort of like, or maybe I'm wrong about that. I might be confusing things, but didn't he have a say in like the whole like Bosnian Rainbows vibe?
Yeah, well, I know he produced a lot of people and also like went in there and played some stuff. He had he played with Blonde Redhead, some other bands.
Oh, okay. So he went in and just like and
he was like a producer, studio musician for a lot of people.
Maybe that's what I'm confusing myself.
But I think he's cool with Omar and all those.
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Because I know Flea and Omar and them like kind of they have their own little like not group, but like they have a camaraderie.
Yeah.
And they just like play all the time together.
I think Flea's like that with everybody. Though.
Probably,
like,
right.
He comes off like he could just jam with you because he's just
right.
very open to music, which is awesome.
Right.
Another reason I still love this band so much, like, it's hard to find a band where you feel like you relate to them on so many levels, not just like the music's cool, but like they're like a brotherhood of, 4 guys, which is like me and my band that I've been with for a long time. And they joke around all the time. It comes through in the music how like sincere they are. And there's a bunch of love into it.
Uh-huh.
And no matter what, they're like, yeah, we just want to do some funky stuff, or like, they want to always have to sneak that in there somehow,
right.
just because they like to do it. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And I know John was saying that he's meant for this band. He is supposed to be in this band.
Could not agree more.
Like to him, it's just like I have to come back. Like it's part of it. It just felt right. Like yeah, I'll do it. And like. It's cool. I didn't know if he was going to come back because after I heard what he's doing on his own, I'm like, he's into another thing. Mm-hmm. But maybe, I think that's just an outlet for him to get some of that stuff that will not fit in Chili Peppers.
Right.
But I really love the Chili Peppers song, the new album where he sings the chorus. It's the Heavy Wing. It's like one of the last songs.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones, right?
It's great. It sounds like another Frusciante song, which I love his albums too.
I will say in this album specifically, I think they kind of steered like. They picked up right where Stadium Arcadium finished.
Yeah.
They picked it up. But I think they also went other places.
They really
there was
did.
some moments where like they cut tempo. They have like these weird B sections. They're more hard rock.
Dude, it goes back to the beginning Chili Peppers, the punk rock
Yeah,
vibe.
they have more like some like heavier,
Yeah.
just little moments. Maybe not a whole song that's like the whole time is nice, but they'll like
just
go
enough.
into it. I forget the name of the song that I'm thinking about, but like it has like a nice little beat, and then all of a sudden like just rips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like that's definitely not Stadium Arcadium-esque.
Yeah.
But it's still Chili Peppers.
Still Chili Peppers, for sure.
Which is, I think, to your point about
like going back
them
to
being such a diverse band across the decades.
Yeah. I know they said whenever they started writing this, like they started playing a bunch of covers first so they can like get back into, because it's been a long time since John played in a band. So he's like, let's start from scratch. Just play some rock and roll. And then started playing old Chili Pepper songs that they haven't played in forever just to get back into that vibe. And then I think that all affected the writing process to like, some of these songs feel like a pretty simple progression, and then they go into like a classic rock kind of thing. And then there's a punk rock part that's just like, you can't deny it. And Kiedis tried some new stuff, which I'm all about.
He did.
My only like gripe with it is that I know they wrote like 40-something, 50 songs, and then they just picked what they thought were the best. I don't know.
Still a big record though. 17 is a pretty big record.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 13 minutes or something, right? But the lyrics, I feel like
that's what I was gonna say.
Maybe after writing 50 songs, I would have chosen the best lyrics out of there too and put them in the songs he chose. But I think he kind of just stuck with a lot of them that he had on those, and it's cool. There's just some choices where I was like, I don't really like how that rhymed there, or but that's just me being a harsh critic.
I also think it's hard on that end. I think it's hard for a band with that kind of longevity. I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth. On one end, I think some of like 21st Century on Stadium Arcadium, I think is brilliant lyrically.
Yeah.
This kind of like sporadic, abstract, like pick the thought from the air, put it in, like kind of like way I think Anthony Kiedis is like masterful at that. But I think you can only do that for so long.
Yeah.
Before you start to like, before it starts to be too random for random's sake.
Yeah, and it becomes a little gimmicky too.
Sure.
Like,
so
like he just kind of wants to throw some weird words in there.
Right.
You know.
And I think lyrically, I think they actually did it. He actually was trying to go some places also, but it's just so hard to get out of that kind of like. It's almost like he's a doo-wop, like kind of like or not doo-wop, like a. He's always like he's
jazzy, baby,
he's
jazzy.
You know what I mean? So
No,
like it's so hard to get away from that. And
I don't know.
But I think yes, my critique is the same with you. Like lyrically, I think it doesn't miss the mark, but it definitely at some points, maybe it's to your point. Maybe it's the fact that there's too many songs.
That's my main gripe with the album. Like
maybe it's to your point.
It should have been 10 awesome songs. Instead of 17 songs that were like, a few of them, I can't remember them, honestly. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I understand they want to, they have some kind of emotional connection to some of these, they can't let it go. But like, man, put it on another thing. Put it on an EP or wait.
Well, what they could have done, I always say this about these huge bands, and I don't know how their record contract is set up or like how the business side of it goes, but I always think like if you have creative freedom, if you have these 17 songs, bro, that's your cue to do this huge. I mean, I know that they don't need the marketing for it, but like that's your cue to be like, we're doing two albums in 1 year.
Yeah. Exactly.
And like we're giving you one in the first quarter, digest it, and we're gonna give you one at the last quarter.
I like that.
And just spend like start the tour or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get the next batch of songs. That way it gives you a nice break that you can have some bangers on the second one, some bangers on the first one, and then they could have really done, because they're gonna do a world tour anyway, right? So like they could have started, maybe previewed some of the songs live. Maybe like the music video for the next songs on the next album could be like something they shot in fucking at the O2 Arena. You know what I mean? And just like fucking and giving us little pieces of like things here and there.
We waited so long to hear something with John again. It would have been.
It could have been another double album.
Yeah,
it could have been another double album, and it could have been conceptually like if they really wanted to get all 17 out. If not, I think you're right. I think they could have done like maximum 12.
Yeah, dude.
Like 10 to 12.
People
a
break
good
that
little
album.
Bruno Mars album. You know how Bruno Mars does like 8 to 10 tracks, and you always want more, but you're like, but at the same time, like, it's unskippable.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And
so
same thing with the Last Strokes album, which I love. I thought it was so good.
I haven't heard that yet.
Do you love it? Rick Rubin did it, so it has a sound.
Of course.
And it's the most polished. Everybody brings what they do in the Strokes to the table and a little bit more. Like, Julian Casablancas really hit some notes that I didn't think he can do. You know, like, and it's great. And they're like, we're going to keep it pretty short. It was only like, I think it was 10, 11 songs, something like that. And it was all you needed. And you're like, oh, it's over. I want more.
Right.
Like, I want that. This was kind of like, that was too much. You know, for like.
Yeah, you want like a good middle ground there.
Yeah, man.
You want a good middle ground, because if not, then you end up getting this. You end up feeling like it's supposed to be stale.
Yeah,
or like you end up feeling like it got stale.
Yeah, there's some filler in
it
or something.
Yeah,
which you don't want that.
I also think there's something to be said with the Chili Peppers specifically, that like they are one of the only bands that I can think of that have been around for that long, that can continue making new music, and that people are looking for new music just as much as they're looking, or as they're wanting to hear them play live their old shit.
What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do now?
Right.
And even if you do something that's like classic
Chili
Peppers, you're like, okay, cool. It's another Chili Pepper song.
It's a Chili Pepper song, but we're happy to have it.
Yeah.
And like not a lot of that, because that's a 40 maybe 40 plus year band now.
Yeah, it's so crazy, bro.
And it's like. Or not 40, but like you know, it's getting
30,
close to
right?
there.
30? I don't know.
It's something like that.
It started like in the early 80s.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, bro. And it's like, it's one of those things where I really can't think of any band that can pull that off. Now, I can think of bands that have done it and that have surprised me. Like,
sure.
The last two Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers albums, I think are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think Mojo is better musically than like Damn the Torpedoes or Wildflowers or like, you know, all of the classic Tom Petty records. But it just obviously doesn't have that nostalgic like hit in the 80s, you know, 90s kind of, you know, kind of way. That classic Tom Petty, it doesn't have that kind of like power, like gravity that American Girl has, and like Last Dance with Mary Jane and stuff like that.
But he's also a songwriter too, so he's always gonna come through.
As a band, those last 2 albums for me were like, oh my god, like how are these people still this gifted in terms of writing music?
Yeah,
because they could have just toured for the rest of their lives on American Girl.
Sure. There's a lot of bands
Mary
that do that.
Jane. You know what I mean? Like, and nobody would have gotten mad at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as I love the Rolling Stones, I fucking love them to death. They don't need to make new music, and they probably won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the last album that they made was like in 2009 or something like that. I don't know what the fuck it is. I probably have only heard it once whenever we were in high school, and then I never went back to it again.
Oh, AC/DC's a good one because they came out with a new album, and I was like, yeah, you're doing the thing you do.
Yeah.
AC/DC kind of always sounds the same.
Right.
But it rocks. That they are literally a rock band singing about rock music. Like, it's pretty funny. They're always like, now we rock. You know, like, you know what they're doing. They have their formula.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, you're like, here's another one to add to the list.
Yeah. But it won't get you past, like you'll still be at Thunderstruck.
Exactly.
You'll be like, yo, I'm going to keep bumping Thunderstruck. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's, to the Chili Peppers' credit, I can't think of another band that's like that with that kind of, like, pop appeal.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I can think of bands that have made fucking slaps their entire career, right?
Sure.
Radiohead, Talking Heads, or Tame Impala.
Sure.
There's other bands that are like every fucking project they put out, you're like, oh my god, this is quality shit.
Yeah.
Right? But like with that amount of pop appeal, like these people Chili Peppers are gonna do a world tour. They're gonna play stadiums. They're gonna play
and they probably got a few more albums in them. I believe it.
And like it's just one of those things where I'm like, holy fuck, man, like, and such a great chemistry with a band, and I think. Even more impressive is that the band has had iterations.
Yeah, a lot of members.
You know what I mean? Dave Navarro was in it for a bit.
But it's always Kiedis and Flea.
No
matter, they're like
Kiedis and Flea are the
like the boys back in high school. You know what I mean?
Kiedis